Hello there and welcome back to a new video. So if the economic growth of a country is not translating into enough jobs, obviously all the blame will go to the governments. But in India, it's not like the government is not doing anything to tackle the issue of unemployment. And that is not just the Modi government but consecutive governments from 1990s onwards. And that too especially in the context of the demographic dividend, where the share of working age population is larger than the share of non-working age population. So in the last video, we looked at the very complex issue of unemployment in India. If you didn't get to check it out, please do. And while I was preparing for that video, I came across a lot of reforms and policies and schemes aimed only at reducing the unemployment rate in India. And we have to look into those as well in order to understand this complex issue of unemployment. So this video is going to be all about that. We will look at the government schemes designed to tackle unemployment since the 1990s, why they have fallen short, and what's really holding back India from leveraging its greatest asset, the youth. So let's rewind to the 1990s. After 5 decades of socialism, we had a severe balance of payment crisis. And under the Narasimha Rao government, we were forced to take massive loans from IMF, World Bank and the Bank of London. In return, we were asked to make structural changes to our economy, which is to open up our market. The liberalization, globalization and privatization process started, and the economy opened up for more FDI and for more foreign companies to come here and to trade with more foreign players. And the promise was very clear: with all the economic growth which will come from development and FDI, it will translate into jobs and more security for an average Indian's life. True to that spirit, about 70% of the population were pulled out of the agriculture labor that they were doing, which had no returns whatsoever, and they were put in the private sector, which was formalized. Do you remember Ashok Leyland and Hero Honda and Maruti Suzuki and Tata Fiat and so on? It was all established during this era where there was a lot of FDI coming in. The foreign investors were investing in India to build companies and to start industries in the land, where there was also a knowledge transfer or a technology transfer. That is, once they set a plant and start manufacturing, they will also leave the knowledge and expertise and technology behind for Indians to learn from and use in a later time. And it was not just limited to the manufacturing sector, it also happened in IT, in medicine, defense, space research, pharmaceuticals and so on. And it did create a lot of jobs and it did drive the amount of economic growth. But there was still a lot of issues. There were lots of protests and hartals. There were issues with land acquirement in accordance to the laws of each state. Basically, India had no ease of doing business at that time. And it was not enough to help the manufacturing sector in India enough to pick up any slack. The manufacturing sector in India was supposed to absorb all this labor force, because any manufacturing unit can employ workers with training, and they may not require official education or certificate just to work in a factory. That did not happen in India, though the IT sector and other sectors developed. So in order to bring more employment opportunities, more policies and schemes had to be introduced by the governments. We are all well familiar with Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act or program, or as Rahul Gandhi calls it,
principles of MGNREGA.
Launched in 2005, it guaranteed 100 days of wage labor. It involves cutting a lot of grass and building water conservation projects and some infrastructure and so on. We know of the success of MGNREGA or NREGA, but it still has a lot of pitfalls. A major one is that the job is temporary and it does not really require any skill or any skill training. It's just manual work sponsored by the government. And since this work does not have any real productive value or economic value, it can turn into a liability for the government in the long run. That is, if they are unwilling to diversify this work into other enterprises or other sectors. And there is also widespread corruption and underpayment and not getting payment at the right times. But it has helped people come together and have some form of work with some pay for at least 3/4 of their year. Now, when Narendra Modi came to power in 2014, he promised to turn this thing around and make sure that there is ample employment opportunities for every Indian. So for that purpose, he and or his team created a lot of different programs. Skill India Mission in 2015, Make in India in 2014, Startup India in 2016, and Stand Up India also in 2016. Skill India Mission was aimed at the very root of the problem, that is, the youth in India did not have enough skills to be employed in most sectors. So they provided free skill training and free certificates for whatever skills that they already knew, and also loan or credit opportunities for people who wanted to start an enterprise or to start something on their own or need financial assistance to get jobs. It's really good in paper and people were expecting it to really transform the country, but it did not so far. Because the training is not that good, the faculty is not up to mark, and people are not turning to it as much. I mean, people do still want to get the training, but it's not really skilling people as it should. And Startup India was aimed at empowering Indians to start new businesses or go into entrepreneurship, and in that way become providers of employment. While also employing yourself, that is self-employment. Make in India was another very touted scheme from Narendra Modi government, which was designed to turn India into a global manufacturing hub, generating 100 million jobs in the process, and it targeted electronics, textiles, and defense. Now, defense and to an extent electronics also really found a lot of success through Make in India. We cannot deny that at all, because India has become almost completely self-reliant when it comes to manufacturing defense related equipment. The aim was to increase the manufacturing sector share in GDP from 16 to 17% to 25% by 2025. But we haven't reached anywhere with that number. We are still stuck at 17 to 18%, and it is extrapolated or projected to reach 20% by 2031, which is still not a small number. It's going to create a lot of jobs, but India is still far behind in becoming a manufacturing hub. Now, Stand Up India, let's not miss that one. Supports entrepreneurs from SC, ST and women categories by offering loans between 10 lakh to 1 crore. Then again, people are not aware of it, and there has been a lot of hurdles. If you go to any banks, especially the local banks, meaning banks in your local area, for a loan in these programs, you might not get it. They will still have a lot of formalities. They will still tell you a lot of this and that just to make sure that you don't get it. So there is still a lot of hurdles for people to get their hands on this kind of credit or money to do what they love to do. So now we come to the core of the issue. All of these schemes and policies look very good on paper. You can't really find much problems with them. They are all made with good intentions for good results and to drive employment. So where are they lagging behind? Why are they not creating the jobs that they were expected to? The first issue here is, of course, the quality of education. In India, literacy rate is not that high, but even the educated people does not have the skills required to be employed. We used to ask, why are we learning all these things? What practical use do they have? Like trigonometry and calculus and differentials and integration and quantum physics and so on. And now we finally have an answer. There is no use at all. They really have no point other than getting marks. So we settled that problem. They are not getting anything much going to the college and staring at the lecturer lecturing you for hours on end and sleeping off in between. So we need a system where every student learns skills that match the industry demands. The growth of manufacturing sector, which remains stagnant, is another huge hurdle that India has to overcome. In India, which was the most important program to drive manufacturing sector's growth, did not choose labor-intensive industries. They focused on technology and also information sector, which could all be automated. They were not labor-intensive. And the textile industry, which was the backbone of Indian economy for the longest time, now has stiff competition from countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam. So import substitution means that we will put a cap on how much we are able to import from other countries, and we will try to make those products or similar products within the country. That the Indian government made was to choose import substitution as a way to boost manufacturing within the country. So import substitution means that we will put a cap on how much we are able to import from other countries, and we will try to make those products or similar products within the country, and we'll also try to export more products. But the share of exports in India's GDP has also remained stagnant at 1.8%. The thing is, it's happening because of import substitution. Because import substitution means that we can't really buy really good quality products at a low price from other players in the market. So our cost of production is higher. We cannot match the international standards at the prices of other companies. This might all get turned around by 2030, because all of these things that we have been building up through these decades would fall into place finally. And I believe it's in 2030. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please share this video with somebody who would be interested to know more about this. And until we meet next time, bye-bye. Well, it goes without saying that I don't have a sponsor yet. But not to worry, I will sponsor my own video. More precisely, my book will. This is the first book that I wrote. It's a realistic fiction novel about 4 teens in a city enmeshed in a life of drugs, love, violence and chaos. A tale of isolation and desperation one feels among known strangers in an unknown city. Well, this book is available on Amazon and Flipkart. The links will be in the description. I will also share the link to the video trailer of the book, so check them out.